Welcome to episode 23 of Venti Questions, the show with friends, coffee, and conversation. I'm Michael.
And I'm Chris, and today we're talking about death. What is death? How do people deal with it? And what our thoughts are on it.
Well, be sure to listen all the way through to find out.
Yeah. So, Michael, what's new with you?
All right, so we have a new thing. Obviously, you know that I have a couple 3D printers,
Yeah.
and a couple of them are newer. Well, one of the new things I was able to do was makes lightsabers. So obviously, you knew that part because that's what I got you for Christmas.
Yeah.
Was the Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker lightsaber.
It's adorable because you know how, like, back in school, it's like you make your parent something for a holiday or birthday or whatever it is. You made me a thing for Christmas. Thank you.
And here's the best part is that the ROI on these 3D printers is actually really high because nobody is getting store-bought gifts from me ever again. I'm just going to make you something that like, oh, I bet they'd like this. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool, though.
Although in the end of the day, it'll probably end up costing more because of like materials and
Yeah.
I don't like this one. It's not perfect. Let me try again.
Right.
But
It was
anyway,
really cool, though. It was
really cool,
Yeah.
but it was a first attempt, and so there was some wonkiness to it. So I was like, okay, back to the drawing board because I still have to. I gave it to him like fresh, cured. It wasn't like painted or sanded down or anything like that. I just wanted to like let you see like, hey, you're getting a cool gift, but it's coming. I had to take it back the same night.
Sneak preview.
So I printed off a second one.
Yeah.
And the thought process was like, cool, I'll keep the old one. I'll give you this new one that's going to be, printed off better and so on and so forth. Well, half of it came out perfect, like just spot on. Unfortunately, the top three pieces have a completely different issue where it's a warping issue. So because of that, you have this nice straight thing, and at the very tip, just a little
Warp speed ahead.
So
Oh, wait.
from that's funny. From two of the four angles, it looks perfect. But from the other two of the four angles, it looks like it needs a little help.
Needs a little help.
Yeah. So it's one of those situations where I'm going to have to do some more work with it.
Yeah.
But it's the learning process of it. That's basically what I've been doing for the past, I don't know, like week or so. It's just printing off different things. I started working on a lightsaber for Jonathan. He requested Darth Revan's lightsabers. He has two different ones. And one of them is super, super like bare and simplistic. And the other one's like extras all get out.
Sure.
And so the simple one, I was able to print off the entirety of it. And 75% great. You know what I mean? And so the big thing is I need to narrow in to what it is that I'm doing as far as setting wise. It's having a little difference. I got to figure out like my support systems and all those kind of things a little bit better. So, I'm just honing in that thing. But it's not a brand new hobby, but to this extreme, what I've been able to do with it is new.
Level of detail.
Yeah. This particular, because the resin printer I've been using for these things is a 7K resin printer. So it's able to do really, really fine detail. For instance, and I meant to bring over a couple of them to show you, but I printed off some of the Blood Bowl figures from one of the like Elven teams, and couple of these guys have capes, but then on the capes they have like the equivalent of what would be like belts in the bottom portion of it that kind of like goes through the fabric and then lifts up and then goes through the fabric.
Oh, okay.
And it literally like there's little tiny gaps like less than a millimeter in between these like ups and downs, and it looks phenomenal.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like you can see the individual knuckles on the individual fingers. Now remember that the entire figure is like this tall.
Yeah, that's
So you got to
impressive.
figure that you're looking at like it's ridiculous. I meant to bring some over, but yeah. But yeah, that's what I got. What's new with you?
Well, my daughter decided that out of nowhere, she's like, "Daddy, I want a pet rat."
Oh, I didn't hear that part of it.
Oh yeah.
She just like literally came. I thought it was just like you were at the pet store and like saw it and it was like an impulse.
No, it was not an impulse. It was like she said she wanted it. She said and we're looking up things. Well, hey, honey, how about this or how about that? And we didn't know anything about rats, so she just was dead set. Like, I want a rat. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Did some research on them a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? They're not. It doesn't seem like they're not bad. They call them pocket puppies because they can be
I
trained.
have never heard that term,
You've never heard that, huh?
and it's hilarious.
They're small, but apparently they can be trained to do all types of tricks just like a dog.
Yes, I'm. Yeah, that part is really cool.
And I've watched some videos where they're doing obstacle courses and taking the lead from treats, and it's just like watching a dog show when they're running and doing it. It's a
One
rat.
of our trainers back at the day at PetSmart was actually one of the trainers for the animal show at SeaWorld. And her main thing that she was in charge of was all of the rats.
It's crazy.
And so like they had them walking across tight roads. Wow. Tight ropes.
Yeah.
And like on cues and like the whole 9 yards. Like they really, really are trainable. You can have them do some really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't
And
know
they're really friendly for comparison to most other small animals.
Yeah, I didn't know that you can litter train them. I didn't know like things like that. I'm like, wow, like it's pretty amazing. And they're actually, you hear the stereotypes of them. They're actually cleaner than most other rodents, most other animals for that matter. They are obsessed about grooming themselves and keeping themselves clean. They hate getting stuff on their fur, on their hands, feet, whatever. They look like little hands. Paws. I know they look like little hands though.
They're like one step away from being like a raccoon. Yeah. But they're like them and cats are like the cleanest ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, so did a little research. Okay, maybe. So let's go to the pet store one of these days and take a look. And I'm thinking, okay, she's gonna get there. She's gonna see it. Oh, they're so cute. Oh. And then, hey, you want to touch it? You want to hold it? Or something like that. And she's going to be like, no, I don't want to. And then it's going to freak her out because it's going to be jumpy, skittish. And then she's going to get spooked, not want it. Yeah, that didn't happen. Yeah.
Never works out the way that we want it to when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I will say my wife is 100% right. It ended how exactly she knew it was going to end, with us coming home with a rat. So we left the store with
Dirty little rat.
With a little rat. So
What you calling a rat?
yeah, so we did. We left, and it was kind of sad because it was the whole time this particular one that we actually videoed her like petting one for the first time, and it was that same one that we ended up going home with because it was calm enough to let us pet it. The other ones were very jumpy, jittery, jumping out of hands.
Right.
This one just kind of like just let us kind of do that. But it was always next to this other one, this gray one. And they were like the whole time, and we were there for like an hour or so, talking about it, making sure, the whole time they were together. Everywhere they went together. They were on top of this little castle thing, both sleeping together, head side by side. So grabbed the the one we wanted, and bought all the stuff, cage, all the accessories, all the stuff that you would get. And then went home, set it all up, took care of it. We're like, well, doing more research on it. And I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 kids. I'm not going to have...
wives.
Yeah, well...
Sorry, wife and girlfriend. Sorry.
Come on. Yeah, the other one...
Patricia's going to be so mad.
It's not legal here. But, yeah, so I'm like, this thing isn't going to get the attention that it needs from me. From us, most likely, because my wife at first was like, "Yeah, I'm not playing with the rat.
I'm not touching that.
I'm not touching it." And from the research is, yeah, you can get one rat, and that's completely fine, as long as you have time to socialize it with you, have it, hang out with you, whatever it is, because it does need that, or to get a little depressed. But if you don't have that time, and that's something that you're not gonna commit to fully, then bring in a friend. In that case, because I just don't have that time to do that, and I'm not convinced that anyone in this house. My daughter's 4, right? She can't, not unsupervised, not by herself.
Right.
My son's under 2, and my wife is just forming an opinion on them now. So who knows? So I'm like, all right, if it's only me and then I'm traveling or whatever, this thing's gonna stay in a cage. Let me get it a companion. And then, and that's what research says everywhere is like, hey, if you can't do it yourself, you're better off doing that. Okay. So I went there the next morning and got his friend. Remembered which one it was.
Got the little gray guy.
Ironically, as soon as I went there, they were all in their little hut thing hiding. I went there and I tapped on it a little bit. Hey guys. He's the one who came out. He's the one who hey, hand on glass. What's up, dude? I don't know why I sounded like Bart Simpson, but in my head. But yeah, so he was the one who came out, and he was the one who was tracking me the whole time. Okay, I know they're smart. I don't think they're that smart. Where he's like, hey, you're the one who took my friend.
Right.
In my mind, though, it all added up.
Well, yeah,
So
of course. Yeah. We always do that with animals. I mean, I'm the same way.
Exactly. So I'm like, that one. And brought him home. Soon as I opened the cage, put him in it, it was the weirdest. They jumped into each other's arms. They were grooming each other. It was the weirdest. I saw it in slow motion. I'm like, what is this?
What you're trying to say
it was a rat romance.
Is that Ratatouille 2 is currently being filmed in the crate.
Pretty much.
Cool.
But yeah, they were cool. They were grooming each other. They were fine. They were running around. They're chasing each other. They were playing. And then they went and ran in the hut together. And I'm like, they closed the door. And I'm like, what is going on? No.
There was a lot of squeaking.
Some squeaking. I don't know. But yeah, so we have them.
I don't know how that was a squeak.
That was a squeak.
It was like a dying animal of
some sort.
Oh, there you go. What are you gonna do?
But yeah, so really hanging out with them, getting them acclimated. It's kind of cool. And you know what? The kids love them. My son actually really is taking to them. Really likes them.
Right.
Says the word rat now, which is cool.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Earlier he said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but that's what I've been up to. So I got rats. Yeah.
You moved away from New York and still somehow ended up with rats.
You could take the
you can take the guy out of New York, but you can't take the rat away from the guy.
Exactly.
It's the best I had.
Yeah, it's not New York. Okay.
No, it was like I don't even know what the heck that was.
Creepy caretaker somewhere.
I mean, he had the thing though. It's like a stereotypical 80s 90s gangster.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not accurate, but it's stereotypical.
If your voice was higher, you sounded like Paulie from Rocky. I'm just saying,
Who's a New Yorker? Isn't he?
Philly.
I know they live in Philly, but I thought he was a New Yorker.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That's
your department.
I know, but Rocky 1 is so hard to remember.
Man.
Rocky 1 is the least viewed one for me.
For you, yeah.
He loses.
But he wins.
No, he loses. It takes him a whole other movie to win.
But he wins.
Whatever. Anyway, let's talk about...
He wins the crowd, Michael.
Whatever. Let's talk about our coffee this week.
Let's not. Let's say we did.
So, this week, we are drinking Death Wish coffee. It's from Round Lake, New York. Speaking of New York. The actual name of this particular coffee is Death Wish. And it's a dark roast, for sure. It was a whole bean for us. And then its branding's pretty cool. It's like the skull and crossbones, crazy. It's slogan, if you will, is world's strongest coffee.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
What we'll do better about in the future is putting the bag somewhere on the table. Maybe.
Well, see, luckily, as we're speaking right now, people that are watching it spin on a little turntable.
Oh, editing.
Yes, yeah, editing.
It's the wonders. The wonders of video.
The best part is I'm keeping this part in, explaining about that.
Well, yeah. That hard work you did,
I
Michael.
thought so too.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the one that I think is the most divisive so far.
It's the one I wish got away.
That's really funny. So we'll go ahead and we'll break down all the different things. We're not going to go into what each one means. If you're not sure about what the particular category means, then go back an episode to episode 22 where we explain them all. So the first category of our 7 categories of flavor is aroma. It's a 0 out of 3 option. I gave it a 1.
If you could smell a rat.
That's I'm sorry, it's a lie. It's a 0 out of 2 option.
Yeah. I gave it a 1.
Yeah, it doesn't smell bad, but it smells like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then for its body, 0 out of 3 for this one. I actually gave it a 2. It's rough, like texture wise, but I liked it a little bit.
I gave it a 1.
Yeah.
There's a trend here.
The trend. And then for aftertaste, this was a 0 out of 5 option. And I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 1.
Yeah. Here's the thing about the
Survey
aftertaste.
says, ding.
In my opinion, aftertaste is there but not there, in the sense that it's strong, but it dies so quickly.
Oh, I wish.
That I mean, it's almost like it has a death wish.
Yeah, you know.
Ha ha.
I know.
So then we have the acidity. And this is a really confusing scale. It goes from 0 to 5, back down to 0. I did give it a 0. I gave it a 0 in the sense that there is no acidity whatsoever. So not enough.
Yeah.
What did you give it?
We in the third one?
We're on the 4th one. The one that says acidity.
A 0.
Yeah.
Because the rest of mine,
That's not true.
except for
The last one.
the last one.
So sweetness, 0. I don't even
0.
remember. I don't even know what the scale is on that one, because as soon as I saw the word sweetness, I was like, 0.
She ain't sweet.
No, not at all. Bitterness. So this one is a scale of, I think, 0 to 5. I gave it a 2 because while it is 5 being like good, obviously.
By being that it's the balance of bitterness that
Yes,
you want.
the best balance.
Yeah.
It's very bitter, but I like bitter. That's my problem.
0.
Yeah, I know you got a 0. Yeah, I know. And then last but not least, drinkability. And this is a 0 out of 10.
Because it was at a 10, I gave it a 1.
It's a 7 for me, my dude.
That's good. You can have all of it.
Now, once
all
we
the
do
beans.
all of our fancy dancy math, I'm gonna do this every week now, so you know. My grand total was a 34.
8.
Single digits.
Dragon of Death 8.
Oh my gosh. I did not figure out what the average of that is, but it's low.
At AOL.com.
Yeah. So I gave it a wow.
Yeah.
I gave it
did
a 2 beaner, I guess, technically, and you gave it a 1.
Yeah.
So I guess the official VQ rating would probably be like a 1.5,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
It's not good.
Oh man. I mean, like I said, I like it. That being said, I will admit to the fact that I can totally understand why you don't like it.
Yeah.
I feel that 75% of people that drink this will be like, "Oh my god, what was that?"
Yeah, but it's advertised accurately. I will say that.
Oh, it's very strong. And
Yeah.
for a dark roast,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been injected with caffeine.
Well, I don't know about that because dark roasts.
I know, and that's what I said. For a dark roast,
Yeah.
it's surprising. Like it.
Well, what's happening right now is the second cup that we're drinking now.
Yeah. So the second cup we're drinking now is cream and sugar, and
It tastes a lot better.
it tastes like a completely different coffee.
It's drinkable.
I actually prefer the black. I don't like the cream and sugar that much on this one. But yeah, no, like it's good, but to me, the milk and the sugar cut the bitterness so much that because all this coffee had was bitterness, now it just doesn't have any flavor.
I drink my coffee black usually.
Yes, I know.
Me too, but this one is the exception.
And that's fair.
This one I would not be able to drink.
This one I could easily drink and I would request. But I know that I have a very unique flavor profile as like my style. So
I would never drink this one black again.
I would brew another pot. I actually really like it.
You can have the whole
We'll put it in storage.
freeze it, do whatever you want to do with it.
Oh, eventually we're going to need to have like a separate freezer in this room just filled with coffees. It's the only downside about having so many. But anyway, let's have some fun with our topic of death. So I got some would you rathers for you that are based upon death. Now don't read them.
All right.
Come on. Let me get you for you. So I got 3 of them for you. First one. Would you rather know how you were going to die or when you were going to die?
Well, that sucks. Either way.
Oh, it's a horrible would you rather. I mean, it's a good would you rather, but that's because it's horrible.
Probably when.
Really?
Yeah.
See, what's your reasoning?
I don't care how.
Really?
I mean, is the idea because I'd be able to prevent it somehow? Because I don't think that's
I don't
gonna
think
happen.
so. I don't think you can game the system in this.
I think if I know how much time I have, then I can plan out. Because they can plan out like the rest of my life, as opposed to just knowing like how I'm gonna die. Right.
Right.
Where then it's like, yeah, you're gonna die of a heart attack. Okay. Now you're just wondering, is it when I'm old? Or is it when I'm young? Is it tomorrow? Is it
And then
when
here's
I'm
the other
80,
thing too
you know?
on that, and this is where I cannot help but have the mindset, and I know you're the same way, of like gaming the system, right?
Sure.
So it's like, oh, you're going to die of a heart attack? Well, then why should I even care about being healthy? Well, maybe that's why you do die of a heart attack.
Right.
Because I'm being told how I'm going to die / when I'm going to die, is that the catalyst that then causes the eventuality?
Right.
As in, would it have been different if I was never told? And then it just goes like, whoa, Twilight
Right.
Zone,
Matrix, break the vase, right?
yeah. It's weird to me. I would probably rather know how. Now, this is why. Knowing when, I would be given at first, I feel like I would have like a perfect like new lease on life, and like, we got to do the best we can with this. This is awesome. You know, I know I got so much time, but as that time got slower and slower, I would become an angry, bitter person, because if anybody wasted my time, if I had to wait in line for more than like 5 minutes, I'd be like, I am going to die in 5 years, 3 minutes and 12 seconds. If you don't move out of my way right now, like I would become a horrible person.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the problem. I know this is an opinion. In my opinion, though, that's slightly flawed thinking, because we should be thinking that now, because we all know we have a finite amount of time. You know what I mean?
And I agree with that statement. But the problem is that
We take that for granted.
right.
Right.
But we would take it differently if we had a finite knowledge of when that's going to end.
I think that the same thing would happen to you if you know how.
But see, here's my thing, is that I figure now I agree with you with a little asterisk here. If I happen to be destined to die in a non-normal, in your sleep, from being sick kind of way, then yeah, it would mess with me. But if it was just like, oh, you're gonna die in your sleep, I'd be like, oh, cool, I'm good. But if they were like, you're gonna die from a tree impaling you, I'd be like, well, I'm never going outside again.
Right. That's what I mean. If it's like a car accident, you're like, oh, well, I need to find another
Yeah,
way
exactly.
to live.
So it's
yeah.
like I said, it all depends on what you get. But
But that's the thing.
yeah,
Because statistically,
It's-
that's probably
that's why this is a would you rather, Chris, because both options
Yeah.
are bad.
yeah. I, think
I
it's
would rather say neither and walk away.
Yeah. My argument is if you know when, then you can at least say goodbye to the people that
That's
that
fair.
you care about.
I get that. I get
know?
that.
Closure, I guess you can say.
Yeah, but the same. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's like
but
that movie In Time, I think the name of it was, with
Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake.
And what's her name? I can't think of the other girl, but she was really good in it too.
Who is it? Olivia Wilde? Is that her?
No, it's Dakota Fanning.
Oh, she is. That is her in it.
I think so. Yeah.
I just remember big eyes.
Yeah, which is accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one: Would
Okay.
you rather be cursed to live forever or die young?
I live forever.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay. I agree with you, by the way. But this is my only question upon this. Are you considering the fact that you will have to deal with the death of every single person you know and love over and over and over and over?
I mean, we've watched Highlander, and
Cool.
we've talked about this. And yeah, I mean, that's terrible. But I can choose how I want to live my life at that point, if I want to be attached to people or if I don't. You know?
Alternate every other century or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
You know?
I mean, also it's kind of creepy though, 'cause it's like eventually at some point you could be like, "Oh, I remember when you were born," to your wife.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
No, it's not, because you're different. You're something different at that point. You view
Yeah, you're no longer human at that
life
point.
and time differently at that point. So it's not creepy to you. It's like, hey, the rules I choose to go by are, this is my, these are my rules. These are my rules of how old, age, this, that,
Right,
whatever it is.
right,
Because
right.
like time is just a thing to you. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. All right, so the last one I got for you is: Would you rather live as a ghost on Earth or just stay dead? Now, for clarification, I believe the essence of this question is stating that you're trapped as a ghost on Earth, or when you die, there's nothing. You're just like, you cease to exist. I think that's how it was supposed to be phrased.
So contrary to the answer of the previous one, I'd rather cease to exist.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I guess maybe it just depends on the rules of being a ghost. If I can't like meddle or influence or like push the pen off the table, or
Okay, if we're talking about like theatrical version of Ghost,
we talk about Ghost,
I'm going 100% Ghost.
like Demi Moore.
Yes.
Swayze?
Patrick Swayze. Yeah.
Yeah.
100% I'm being a ghost.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And your life is going to be horrible.
Here's the problem.
I am going to haunt you.
Here's the problem. You're a ghost.
Right.
Your loved ones move on. Let's just say.
Oh, yeah. It's horrible.
I don't want to watch.
Well, I mean, it says that you're on Earth. It doesn't say that you're in your bedroom. You're
Where else
allowed
would
to
you be?
leave. Like, I don't know. Maybe you could watch your kids that time. It's like 10 minutes. Hopefully.
We just watch my kids. Well, mommy's getting busy with their new daddy. What am I gonna do? Time it? Come on.
Oh, that went down a path I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
You know.
All right. Well, I mean, there you go.
Yeah. Just kill me. At that point.
I would go for Ghost if I can interact. I agree with you. But if I'm literally just sitting here chilling, I have no one to
Floating over
interact with or nothing. There's no other ghosts or anything. Then yeah, no, I'm with you. I'd just be like, I'd rather cease to exist. Because
Right.
that would be torture at that point.
It's a different kind of lonely,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Because at least if you're immortal, like, oh, well, you can still have companionship. It's fleeting. It's like anything else.
It would basically just be like you were an owner of a fish tank.
Sure.
And you're, because after your family that you met has disappeared, then you're just like, oh, I like that human. Let me watch that one for a while.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
Right.
So, that's cool though. These ones, I actually really like these.
Interesting.
To be completely honest, do you know how hard it was to find themed ones around this like topic?
People don't want to talk about it.
I know, it was really kind of interesting. But anyway, That brings us to today's main topic of death.
What is death? Death, baby,
Don't
hurt
leave me no more. I don't know. That's the best I had. So have a couple different little subtopics for this one. So this is something that not only came up multiple times when just Googling, like death or what is death and things of that nature, but I have heard this before. Oh, my Google searches, I'm on so many lists.
You're the best, you Googler. That fit in two ways there.
That
See
was
that?
so good. Exactly.
Yeah.
In a freak gasoline by accident. God. Why have we not watched that recently?
I know.
We really should. We need to give the second one another chance too.
Yeah.
We really do. Anyway, I digress. So the whole thought process of this is that each person has 3 different deaths, right? The first one is when the actual physical body ceases to function.
Yeah.
The second one is once the body is like confined into like the casket and is buried, right? And the third is, and I'm gonna make sure I read this one exact because it's kind of like meh. The moment, sometime in the future, when your name is spoken for the last time.
That's that cocoa stuff.
Here's the thing, like legitimately, reading the sentence when your name is spoken for the last time made me have a reaction.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh.
Right.
And it made, and like, not to get like deep in this, but it made me start thinking about like people that I hadn't thought about in forever. Just like, okay, I need to remember that person. Like, just because it's just like, that's so sad to think that there are people that I've met that have passed that I may not even know have passed, but I'll never remember them enough to like think about them again.
Right.
And it's just like, does that make me a bad person?
I think other people would assume, you would assume that other people would be thinking about them.
Right.
Like of
right.
their own family or this.
Well, I'm sure
or
there's
that.
somebody who's closer.
Maybe.
That thought process.
Right.
It's weird. It
Yeah.
really is. But I thought that was actually, like I said, it starts off when you're like, oh, okay, yeah, obviously, okay, I get it. But then like when you actually start like, if you actually take a moment to think about it, it's like, that really makes sense.
I know, man.
Because
Coco.
I get it. It's similar to that thought process. Stop giving me Pixar shit.
Just saying. The tears.
First you get, Coco. Coco destroys me.
Yeah.
That is one of the most beautifully animated movies, especially once they go into the land of the dead.
Yeah.
I know there's a better name for it, but like this, the colors and the vibrancy, it's just like, it's amazing. But then, and I think we had the same thought process about this, was obviously different cultures throughout the entire world look at and celebrate death differently. Right. And so I pulled up a thing, once again, best a Googler. I'm going to start using it like that. I'm a you Googler.
Jeez.
You Googleizer. I'm a professional you Googleizer. This is going to be fun now.
What did I do?
So I looked up some different places. So one of the things that I thought that was really cool is about Korea. So in Korea, one of the main ways that they deal with their dead is through cremation. Am I saying that correctly? I know it's cremated, but is it in that tense, cremation? Yeah. Okay, cool. But then what they do is they take the ashes and then form them into like really colorful and vibrant like beads that they use for lots of jewelry and or just if you walk into a house and you see like a thing like that, usually it's for somebody who's passed in the family.
Right. They repurpose the ashes essentially. Yeah.
And it's repurposed in a way that is to kind of like bring a vibrant lifeness to either a person in the form of jewelry or a room in the form of like art. Right. I thought that's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way of like bringing that person into like the next like step.
There are companies here in this country that do that.
No, I had heard,
which probably comes from that idea.
Of course, yeah.
They haven't really caught on. We are very prude when it comes to how we think of death in this country.
We're really prude about a lot of things. Wait till later on in the season, guys. Yeah. So then there's some other ones. China is a little bit different as well. One of the main things is that the color system, as far as like the colors associated with death, are opposite. Black is not considered a color for mourning.
Right.
White is.
White is, yeah.
And then one of the other things I thought was pretty interesting was the amount of time that they're supposed to mourn for. The mourning period for a Buddhist may be up to 100 days.
Interesting.
And I thought that was really interesting because this is going to sound really lame, but you know, like in a lot of like fantasy type style things, a lot of times it's European styled, right? And you get like they've been in mourning for X amount of time and things like that. The fact that this is more of an Eastern religion that is also very similar, where there's a very large expected mourning period, I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, it sounds so heartless, but it's like most people are like, that happened like last week. Like, let's move along. Unless it was like your significant other or like direct parent or child type thing, people expect you to be able to get over it within like 3 or 4 days.
Right. Outside people.
Outside.
People who are actually dealing with it, because of that process and how they're expected to heal, I think, at least in this country, I think it's the expectation is a little bit different. They're like they probably never heal, right?
Right. That makes sense.
From a death of like a parent or from a close sibling or something like that.
Yeah.
They carry that because they don't take the proper mourning. There's not a proper mourning way or ritual, perhaps, because it's not focused on as much. Recently, there's more of a mental health push and, talking to people and this and that and the other, but that's a more recent thing than it was, even the past 20 years,
No, and I agree with that. I think that is one of the bigger issues is that because there's not a socially accepted formal ritual in how to get past trauma, that, it even if it didn't work for everybody, the fact that there was like hey, this is your go-to to at least start from,
right?
I think would be more beneficial.
Right.
But that's kind of the positive and negative of our country being such a melting pot is that there's no official anything.
Right.
I mean, there's unofficial, but you know what I'm saying. Like, that is the both positive and negative aspect. In this case, kind of is a negative.
Well, how work allows you to deal with that too, like bereavement periods and things like that. On top of that, like you can even say the same thing with maternity and paternity leave. Like the way this country is,
has no respect for any of those things.
It just seems like, hey, you did a thing, now move on, kind of thing. And like, and that's, in the spirit of making money and profit and so on.
Slight right turn here also, like, oh, wow, you've worked for an entire year? Okay, here's 10 days to go do something with your family.
Right.
Is also just a little bit of a, like,
Right. And if you're sick, you might have to use some of that.
Yeah. This is your time, but if you're not feeling the best, we're going to take that out of your time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit ridiculous.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're a number.
And it depends on the company. It depends on their policy.
That's fair, but I would say most corporatized places are more likely to be sympathetic.
They're more or less going to write the policy to benefit
the company.
the company.
And that is
Profit.
their job, and that is what they're supposed to happen. And
Sure.
I get that, but it also still sucks.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Japan has a couple of cool things to it. They do look at death as being like more of a, hey, this is part of life, right? More of the full cycle to it.
Right.
They also do have a tradition where they do like an offering to the wake, a lot of times with like money. And it's like a special little like envelope, and it has like black and white ribbons and things like that onto it. Once again, I learned about this originally from anime, which is just like, you can't help it. Like, who didn't watch Yo-Yo Hakusho? I mean, he died and the whole wake thing and all that. Like, come on, you saw it. Don't look at me like that. But it was really interesting because anytime I look something up and I'm like, oh, that was real? It always makes me giggle. Because I just assume it's just like, oh, it's just a cartoon. Yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. But no, they have a pretty cool thing too with that. Also, one of the other things is how they not worship, that might be a strong word, but how they celebrate the dead. In the sense of like their ancestors are considered to be looking down upon them and are there to pray to ask for like wisdom and things like that. Worship is the wrong word, but it's more of a hey, I'm going to pray to my uncle John because he was really good at like math and I have a math test coming up. I want to pray to him to be able to like have him help me, kind of thing.
Got it. Similar to Catholicism and saints, praying to saints.
I don't want to say yes because I feel
You're
like
venerating them. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
Right.
I don't want to paint it into the fact that they're trying to make their family like greater than thou's, but like
Yeah.
no, just as like a hey, bro, help me out.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So in that regard, yeah, sure.
Right. Like, I mean, well, Milan, where you're
Yeah.
praying with your ancestors, and then they send, right? They're all trying to help. They're all witnessing there.
ancestral dragon.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny. Can't believe I just used that as an example.
I can't believe that you've now brought up 2 different Disney properties, and I brought up one earlier with the rats. We're at 3 so far.
You know what?
Maybe I'll have like a little counter right here in the corner.
We'll owe them money, though.
Ooh, never mind. Not going to bring it up. But there's a couple other ones, and these ones were for like in Ghana. There's a little bit different. They have very elaborate like coffins that they utilize that can be in different shapes. One example was a coffin may take the form of an airplane or a Porsche or a Coca-Cola bottle or an animal. And so they just have their own like flair to it, which is actually once again different and kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because I think anything that's out of like the socially norm that I'm used to is just like, oh, that's pretty sweet. I like something different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When you're Ghana, I guess you.
How long have you been holding it in?
The whole time.
The whole time? Okay.
The whole
cool.
time.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. And the last section that I did see was the one for African countries. And this one, it says that it's kind of a hodgepodge of both like your typical Christian style, some of also the Ghana. And then they have it more almost like, this is going to be a horrible reference, but like kind of like a block party in a sense, where it's not just a thing of your friends and family are invited, the entire community is involved.
Okay.
Because it's more of a, oh gosh, I can't think of the right word. It's so frustrating. Let me see if I can-
Celebration of life.
It's not necessarily, yes, but it's more of a, hey, everybody's involved because we're all part of the same like thing.
Okay.
We're all like, one voice.
Circle of life.
Four.
I had to.
Wow. Anyway,
It's like a circle.
it's like a circle. Now you made me do it. You know which things you can say to make me immediately parrot it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, one of the things they're saying is like the death is usually announced on the local radio station, and the mourners will gather over the coming days, coming from surrounding villages and further afield to pray and sing.
For everybody?
Yeah,
On the radio?
for anyone that dies. Yeah,
So I guess, so Africa is obviously a continent, right?
correct.
So are you speaking in like of a specific
The
country?
example says in southern Africa.
Okay.
So
Well,
not,
I mean-
not South Africa, the country, but look, I didn't name these places. Okay, look, don't look at me if it's confusing. But the southern portion is what it's giving as an example as.
Okay.
Another one thing is like if you are an employer and let's say, oh wow,
Botswana?
or Namibia. I'm horrible at pronouncing things. I'm so sorry. You need to allow time off for funerals, and if your employees, several workers from the same community, you may well lose all of them for days at a time in the event of a death. So it's just part of life there, and it's accepted. Once again, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know. And this is, I obviously will probably get to this later on in the conversation, but the thought process of thinking, who else is going to go to your funeral? That does kind of cross your mind. And when you think about it, in this situation, you have an entire community that is there to celebrate you and your life, but also to help the people that were super close to you deal with the situation. And I think that's a really cool aspect.
Yeah, a funeral's not for you. You're dead.
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
know.
for
It's for the survivors.
the survivors. It's for the other people,
Yeah.
right?
No, I agree.
It's a situation where I personally don't care who goes to my funeral. I don't.
I don't know. I mean, I've been to a couple, but it's a weird vibe. Which brings me up to the next subtopic: personal experiences with death. So, as far as humans, and I know that sounds stupid, but animals mess me up. I mean, anyone who's partaken in any of our episodes know that if an animal is going to be messed with, it's difficult for me to handle, which is really weird because like you would think that like that wouldn't bother me, but it does.
No animals were harmed in making this podcast.
No animals were harmed that didn't deserve it. Asterisks.
Oh boy.
But yeah, no. So as far as like people, I've had a couple of like friends and a couple of like decently close friends, especially in like college, and then finding out about people from high school
Yeah.
that have passed. I also had a really good friend of mine that was a coworker of mine that didn't like have a falling out with, but you know, like when you no longer work at one place and like you move, and it's just like you don't connect for a while. And then I randomly got a call. It was my friend Bob. Remember we used to like work out together and stuff like that when I worked
Oh
way
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
I got a call when I was helping with the opening of Leesburg. I got a call saying that hey, he apparently had cancer.
I remember you telling me
And it
that.
was just completely out of the blue. Apparently he had known for a while and just never told anybody. Like not even his wife knew
Oh wow.
because he didn't want to freak her out. From what I've heard from other people, that he had like really good life insurance that also she didn't know about to try to like, you know, like he didn't just like leave her in a lurch.
Gas, but it's like the consolation
I'm
prize. It's
fully
like,
aware of that, but you know, that's what I'm saying. Like he didn't just like, hey, we're not going to talk about it. I'm not going to prepare for it. He prepared her for it financially and things like that, but he just didn't want to.
not emotionally though.
Yeah, not emotional. But yeah, so that was a weird
That's
one,
tough. That's
stuff
tough.
like that. But like, I would say I've probably only been to maybe like one or two funerals. I don't like going. I don't know. To me, it's just like, why would I want that to be the final memory of a particular person? To me, it's just like, I don't know. I'll just remember them as like last time I chilled with them. You know what I mean? Like that's the moment I want to remember.
I want to say I've been to one, maybe two, but it wasn't. I hate to say it this way, it just wasn't as memorable enough.
Two. I've been to two.
Yeah, one was my great grandmother. I was young.
That almost doesn't even count.
I have a couple.
No offense.
memories.
I didn't mean it like that.
No,
that
yeah.
sounded really heartless. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was so young though.
Yeah,
and-
that's what I
and-
meant by it.
Yeah, and then I've had a grandfather pass. I've had an uncle on my mother's side pass. Wasn't very close with him. I've got one memory with him, honestly.
Right.
You know, a positive one, which I think you talked about in the last podcast, in the last season.
We did.
Yeah. But that's it. And then my grandfather, I mean, we weren't very close, which is, it's tough. And this is my father's mom. And it's tough thinking about. And it's like, and that's kind of what I mean by talking about when you know how much time, then maybe you would allocate time differently where you're spending it. Hey, let me maybe have some more conversations with this person or talk to this person kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's where I go with it. And the reason I say that is because my dad's father, my grandfather, you know, I just came back from a trip to visit him, and he's in his 90s. And, you know, very realistically, that may have been the last time I would ever see him. And he knew that, and he was speaking about that and telling me what his arrangements were going to be, and this and that and the other, and like very, straightforward conversation about that. And it was sad, and saying goodbye. And him and I didn't have a very close relationship in the past, and but like having that time and being able to do that and say like a proper goodbye, essentially, weird as it is, because he's still alive. I still talk to him and still, video chat, that kind of thing.
Right.
But like that kind of closure. It's already there. Like it's there,
So I don't think I've ever had that with a human.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds. I
hear
hate
you.
having to keep saying it like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I went to one funeral right out of high school. I think you also went to that one.
But it might have been the second then
Yeah.
that I can't remember.
No, yeah. But the one for the two girls
Yes.
in the car accident.
Yes.
I don't want to say their names.
I got it.
And that one was really sad for me because obviously the one girl, I knew her, and I knew her in the sense that like we would say hi and like we were in the same department and all that kind of stuff. But what I really felt bad for was her father. Her father was like one of the only fathers that ever like chaperoned or did anything, so he was really involved. And when you're a male chaperone, you usually deal with the male students. That's how they kind of do it,
Yeah.
Kind of like when my mom chaperoned, she usually chaperoned for other people that were not, me. And so I knew him, and so it was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine now as a father myself. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go down that path. But that was really difficult, seeing that aspect. And then the other one was another car accident. Now I think about it. When I was in college, one of the girls that was once again in our department, and I only had known for like a year, but she was super, super sweet. And you know this, but when you're in the arts, you're constantly hanging out with other people in the arts.
Right.
And you're always there early to do like rehearsals, and you're trying to get with people to figure out how to do another part. So there's just a lot of like camaraderie aspects. And so like we would have a class at like, let's say 11, and there'd be at 9 o'clock, there'd be like 10 of us waiting outside, like just because we all knew we were going to show up early and just like hang out together.
Yeah.
And so like, you get to know people, and then like just one day it sounds so weird because it was college. We were in I think one of our voice classes, and a counselor showed up and was just like, this girl has unfortunately passed. I'm here to talk to you guys about it. And it was just like, what? Like, and I feel like that's very, very surprisingly how great that was for the campus. It's not the right word I'm looking for the school administration. That's what I'm looking for.
Sure.
To have the foresight to do that. Because, I mean, I was a little bit older, but, there's mostly like 18, 19-year-old kids in there. I can totally see that happening in high school and like elementary school and middle school, like that. But like for a college to do that, I thought that was really, really responsible. And it sucked because a couple of the kids in there had known her since like elementary.
Right. Close.
And so it was really sad. But yeah, those are the only two funerals I've ever been to. I've been invited to a bunch. I don't know how that, but yeah, I usually don't like going.
Yeah. Now that we're talking, and I have a tendency to just push it down, bury it.
No, you just bottle it up and put it in the bag and
Yeah.
wait for it to explode later.
Exactly.
That's a future Michael problem.
Yeah. I've actually been the one more recently than I remember now, and did the viewing and all that. Like everyone went up. I was open, casket and whatnot. It was my wife's cousin, I think.
Really?
She was related. Yeah, young, and yeah, and that was tough, and that was interesting because I remember now, and this person was at my house, like
Right.
and like yeah, and then seeing them not alive anymore,
Huh?
you could just tell the life was just. I know it sounds weird, but there was just no life. They were just a completely different person,
Yeah, I know.
laying there, and it's like, wow, like I just wasn't sure, So it's one of those things. Like you think you're prepared, and like it's scary walking up there,
Yeah, I've never dealt with a viewing where I actually, because I think both of those things were viewings, but I didn't partake in the viewing portion.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say that like appropriately. I didn't
No,
walk up to it.
I'm unfamiliar with the process and the terms.
Yeah, I'm
and,
not trying to be
you know,
insensitive. I don't know the proper things for it.
right.
But as you recall, I have had to deal with a dead body.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
yeah.
interacting with and dealing with all that kind of fun stuff. And obviously that was a very different situation. And my analytical portion of my brain immediately kicked in.
Right.
And so at that point, it was just a task that had to be appropriately taken care of.
Right.
Logistics turned on, and it was just like, you here, you there. I need this to happen. This needs to go on. And so there was no emotion. Plus, I didn't even know the person.
And that's the thing. And although that may be traumatizing to people and some people and maybe even you, but
Some of the other people that saw it, it was obviously how traumatizing it was.
yes, but you didn't know them.
No, none of us did.
Right. But I think it's a completely different thing when it's someone who you know, who you've seen with life. You know?
That I agree
Suddenly not, you know?
Because here's the thing.
That
And
emptiness,
Once
you know?
again, I mean, I won't go too into this because it doesn't really matter, but having to then look at the camera footage to figure out what was going on, it was a little weird.
Yeah.
That part was a little strange. It was like, oh, yeah, we're watching this gentleman that is,
No longer here.
yeah, we're watching what happened right up until that point.
Right.
That's kind of creepy.
Yep.
So,
Now there are people who make careers, and this is just, that's it, you know? That's that they deal with it on a daily basis. It's just a part of life.
Obviously, we know people that deal with
Yeah.
massive amounts of death
Yeah.
constantly. And
Right.
yeah, a lot of different coping mechanisms and stuff.
It's interesting.
So
Yeah.
the next thing kind of fits into, I think, the issues or the experiences I've had with animals. So I guess we'll kind of like combine those, so we're not like saying forever on this one, but it's how we deal with death. Now I have had to put down one dog that was like my childhood dog.
Right. I remember that.
And that was not fun. That was like right when I turned 18.
Yep.
I was very lucky that one of my really good friends, Ramos, was a vet tech,
Yeah.
and he was actually the one that did it.
Right.
And like, they weren't supposed to let him do it at that time. Statute of limitations has gone away, so he's fine. I can talk about it. But they he wasn't technically supposed to be the one. It should have been the actual doctor that did it.
Sure.
But they were like, he was like, hey, this is like a friend of mine. This is, I know the dog. Like, it's been around for a while. All that kind of stuff. So it was really, really cool to happen. So that was obviously difficult, but it was a like best case situation.
Right.
And then recently, Tora passed. And this would have been his 19th birthday,
Right.
coming up in like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
He passed. Yeah. Sorry. And he passed while you were in London. So that was like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's like, when it comes to like being an emotional person, if there's like a scale, I'm at the far end of like overly emotional and nothing. So I'm waiting for that bomb to explode because it eventually will.
Yeah. But you did.
Oh,
deal
I
with
cope.
it. You coped with it. Maybe
So
a little unhealthy.
So okay, yeah. How do we deal with it? So I deal with stressful situations in a sense of I need to then change something. I have to drastically alter some force.
Yeah.
And so the way that I handled it was there was things I had wanted to do in my my room to set up for different aspects of things, and I was just like, yeah, I'm doing it all now. And so because of that, I have gone and done a lot of different things. That's what started the. Go ahead.
You need to change your environment
Yes.
essentially in some
Yes.
way, and you need to change the norm, right? Because now the norm has changed already, and because you didn't have the control
Oh yeah, it's all
over
control
that,
based.
you had to find a way to control your environment in a way that you know how. And
Yeah. So like, and this sounds so like, well, it's not really that big of a deal, but for me it is. I got a new bed, which is like only the second bed I've had in the last like 25 years.
I know.
I don't care about beds. Rearranged the room, got a new desk, got a couple $1,000s worth of woodworking equipment. Oh, another couple $2,000 or $3,000 worth of new computing equipment and filming equipment and other stuff. So I've been putting that all together. Just slowly building out all the other stuff. Oh, and then I got all my crazy stuff for all of my 3D modeling and graphic design stuff.
So not healthy, as we talked about. But, yeah.
I didn't punch anybody in the face. It's pretty freaking healthy.
Yeah.
So
It's weird because it's both self-destructive but also self-constructive.
Yeah.
Because all the things you got and did were to make things, create.
Correct.
To make something
facilitate to the things that I want to do.
right.
But the thing that is interesting is that, like I said, okay, everybody likes cats, right? But I'm not a cat person. I don't like cats.
Sure,
right?
sure.
I didn't want the cat. The cat was literally thrown onto me when it was
almost 19 years ago.
Yeah, this big. Yeah. It was like 2.5 weeks old.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I've had it for a long time.
Right.
And so, yeah, I knew there was going to be a reaction. I just didn't expect it to be what it has been.
Right.
So,
have you cried over?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Which is what's so weird.
Because you're a crier.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I told you. I've gone on record many times that like the Thanksgiving Publix commercials usually get me, which actually is kind of sad. I didn't see a single one because I don't see commercials really anymore. Publix apparently didn't do a marketing campaign on YouTube, so
yeah,
I didn't see nothing this year.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I haven't had any of that. I haven't had any desire to like watch something that I know would give me one. Nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing because, like I said, that was my expectation. And I haven't had any like. This sounds really bad. Like I'm like a horrible person. I haven't had any fits of anger.
Yeah.
Because that's usually the other thing is that if something, I'm very irritable if something's really bothering me. But I've been like whatever.
Thinking back, talking about loss of an animal. I ran into a lot of those situations. I had a lot of animals growing up.
Yeah.
And it never gets easier. Never. And for my childhood cat that passed years ago now.
Misha.
Yeah.
Cool ass cat, dude.
My reaction, I kind of had to force the cry out kind of thing. I knew I needed to.
Yeah.
In some way. So I would obviously just think of things to get me there. You know what I mean? To kind of force it. It kind of sounds funny saying it. And then my first dog, we put him down. Had that closure of knew it was going to happen that day, all that kind of stuff, and was there for the last day of life kind of thing, and all that. And it's terrible. To your point,
it's not fun.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's bad. I don't think I have reacted in such a way where I've done anything quite to the extreme that you did to like literally completely change my surroundings or any of that. I literally just grieve. And that's it. And then maybe distractions, I do find other distractions. But I feel like if I just overwhelm myself with emotion and like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to just do it right. And I'm going to I'll go watch Marley and Me, or I'll go watch, something to like, let me just cry hard and ugly. And then like when I'm done with it all, when I'm done being a complete wreck when it comes to those types of things, then I can move on. And it's literally it hurts a lot in the moment. I just fast hard, get it done, and then I move on.
The only thing I can think of, and I'm literally thinking of this in the moment, so I don't know how much merit's really behind it because I've had 45 seconds to think about this thought process.
Yeah.
Is obviously closure is typically the thing you need, right?
Yeah.
But in a roundabout way. Closure is then accepting and now it's done. And then you move on. I'm the kind of person that I can listen to an audiobook 30 hours straight, but in that last hour, it might take me a week to listen to because I don't want the experience to be over. Same thing with a regular book.
Got it.
Or a series. I still have not
I know.
finished
I was
the
thinking
thing
that.
because there's like one episode left and I don't want it to be over yet.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe that's what part of the subconscious aspect is like
avoidance.
I'm putting this off because if I accept it, then he's really 100% gone.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Did I tell you where he is now?
No.
He's over by Sand Lime.
Really? You did that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
They got rid of the paintball field, so I couldn't put him where I wanted to.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I don't know, 20 feet of grass, and then it goes into like a chain link fence, and then like concrete. And I'm like, what the? So I had to put him on the other side.
Could have made him to a necklace.
I wouldn't be able to handle it.
No.
No. I don't think I can handle a constant reminder like that. Yeah.
Well, once again, basically what we just said.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's one of those things. It really is.
So, with that, and this is on the same topic, I do want to mention, we're parents now, and
Oh, we're going there. Fun.
our role of kind of teaching our children those things and like that kind of thing and helping them with that process because we're messed up and that's fine.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that to the next generation, right?
You want to lessen the amount of messed up when it comes to your personal issues and things. You want to make sure you're helping them so it's not the same. You're not perpetuating that.
Mine's already had to go through it.
Exactly.
Because, obviously I have my dog, Callie. Mm-hmm. She is like 3 months older than my daughter. So she's about to, next month, on the 26th, Callie will be 11.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming up. So that'll be fun to deal with. But anyway, the other dog that was my ex-wife's, Casey, he passed a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And because he was a miniature schnauzer and he was like 13, something like that. Like,
cool dog.
He had a good run. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, the schnout was awesome, dude. But obviously the kid grew up with this dog.
It was his childhood dog.
Yep. And every once in a while, she'll still go get the little like photo album of him, and she'll just sit there and she'll look through it, And they cremated him, has like a nice little urn type thing, all that kind of stuff. So, but she had to deal with that, and that was really difficult. Mm-hmm. Now she never really super bonded with Tora because Tora's a dick and doesn't like children, and it took him like 8.5 years to start to like the kid. So but even still, when I was like, "Hey, this is gonna happen,"
Right.
it was difficult for her to deal with as well.
Well, because despite the feelings, the thing that was always there is now not there. The thing that you expect to be there and like say hi to and maybe pet the head, right? It's like
Give us pets.
right?
Stop being a jerk.
Right. So,
That's one thing I have noticed. I don't do the voice nearly at all anymore.
right.
So
Yeah.
all kinds of fun.
Yeah. So Tarantinoing this a little bit and bringing it kind of back around. Part of the reason why rats became a thing, and I wanted to deal, and I figured, this could be a good opportunity and learning opportunity. Is she's first animal she's picking on her own and learning to care for with me, obviously, and all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
But also, their lifespans are extremely short.
Oh yeah, isn't it like 3 years, something like that?
Yeah, like 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then where you get them from too, it depends on how long that lifespan, right? So
they
the
were
breeding,
taking care of,
right? That kind
how
of
good of
thing.
a breeder it was.
Yeah. So we're looking at best 18 months, 2 years. Who knows? It could surprise us and hit a 3.5 year mark.
So I mean, I some you hear about like 4 or 5, But that's like
optimal conditions.
that's like Misha, who's like 22 or something like that.
No, he wasn't that. He wasn't that.
He wasn't that old.
No, I think he was drinking age. Yeah, 21. Yeah, close. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he just hit drinking age. Yeah, that's how I remember it.
Yeah. No. I know. Yeah. Toro was still underage. He'd been lying for years.
but yeah. So and I'm like, okay. And I explained this to her before we even went to the pet store.
good, yeah.
And then while we were at the pet store, and then when we got, so she kind of understands and knows.
You have to start off with in my opinion, you have to start off letting them know, like, hey, these are all the outcomes that are either possible of happening or are just definitely going to happen because it's part of life.
Right.
No, I agree.
And my daughter's 4. So whether or not she grasps what we're saying to her verbally and understands that, she gets what death is from like movies. She's cried at movies when it comes to those types of traumatic moments and stuff, but to experience it with something that just like we talked about, that's gonna be something different. And I'm pretty sure unless any of my animals go before these rats, which is unlikely, but could happen.
It's possible, but it's not. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. Then this will be her first animal and experience with it. So.
I'm very interested, and it sounds so morbid to say it like that, but I'm very interested to see what happens in the next couple of years because Callie is a large breed dog.
Yeah.
And 10 to 13 is typically like good run. Katie was 13 when we had to put her down.
Yeah.
And, she'll be 11, so that's not gonna go over real well.
Yeah, Callie, and who knows, it's a lot of factors there. Callie seems to be in better shape than Casey is in the later years. Just
yeah.
So.
That the Porsche now, man, he had like some it started off as a jelly bean and then it became like I called him his little Oreo, and then it turned into like a softball.
Yeah.
And it was what's it, malignant, when you have like a tumor but it's not cancerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like it was a fatty tumor or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, he was at a certain age that they're like, yeah, we're not putting him under to take that off.
Right.
It'd be more of a risk. So, but yeah, no, I agree. I think she's definitely gonna, unless she has like a drastic turn, she's still probably got some more time in her.
Yeah.
But that one I think is gonna affect more, obviously, just because the kid will be older.
Yeah.
And it's like with Beaumonte gone, now Toloneco's gone, and then the last guard, when that one falls, then everything is done.
Yeah.
So it'll be not fun, interesting. So.
No, interesting.
But I think that brings us to our last little thing here, which I think we've pretty much touched on. But it's like, what are our opinions on death in general?
So it's tough to talk about this without kind of crossing over into the afterlife, like belief part of
yes,
it.
And I agree
in
with
a sense,
that. I agree with that.
So let's do this. Let's talk about our opinion on that. And once again, that's an opinion, because nobody.
I know for sure,
really
but it's all good. Whatever.
Yeah. And then what we would like.
Here's
for it
my
to be.
thing. I'm a cynical person. We all know this.
Yeah.
And so I feel that obviously I would like there to be this, beautiful place for everybody to be at afterwards, where everybody's like chilling,
Yeah.
But I feel like the possibility aspect of that, in my opinion, I'm not trying to hate on anyone who feels otherwise, yeah, it's no way in hell.
Yeah.
So, and that sucks, but it's also like, all right, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. And
Yeah.
I feel like I've reached the age where this is where I'm gonna be for at least the next like 10 to 20 years in my mindset. I'm not saying it'll never change, but
Sure.
I'm pretty sure this is where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think because of that, it also makes it kind of like, yeah, it's part of life.
Yeah.
But it's the inevitable part of life. There's nothing you can do to change it. So you can either torture yourself during the time frame that you actually have to be here, or you can accept it and just be like, yeah, man, that blows. But we had X amount of good memories, and then just cool. Let's just move on, man.
Right. Yeah.
And I know it's to some people it sounds kind of heartless, and it's not that I'm trying to be like that. It's just that with how much emotion I have over everything else, I mean, dude, Fantastic Four and the Rise of the Silver Surfer. Come on, I don't have the emotional energy to be worried about like real stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
It's interesting.
but
Yeah.
as far as like I said, I don't think there is anything. I wish I did.
Sure.
Because that feels like people that honestly, truly do believe I am envious over. Because it's like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You have that great reassurance. And I don't put them down for it. I don't think they're dumb for it or anything like that, which a lot of people like my position do, which is really kind of douchey. But it's just, that's not my Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I
hear you.
So, what about you?
That makes sense. I'm a lot more complicated when it comes to that, I think. But I will say this. There are two things that really stick with me on that topic. One of them is like the monologue from Troy. Whenever Brad Pitt's character Achilles is talking about immortality. And
That is why no one will remember your name.
Exactly. Well, you're talking about the gods envying mortals because everything's more beautiful, right? Kind of like the immortality thing that we were just talking about, but like, and that's, so cherish, your life because, it's fleeting, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's some questionable acting in that movie, and just stuff like that, but like that part, I'm like, that sticks with me. I remember.
No, that's it's two scenes that you kind of smash together. It's the scene in the beginning with the kid, and then the scene when he's with the acolyte.
Yeah.
And it's just like, awesome.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote that was a genius.
When he's with Betrayus and talking to her about, right? So, yeah, I mean, that whole part was great,
And like I said, but it's such a... I agree. That is the better part of the two parts, but I feel like that is just a really great way to re-emphasize with more detail about why he says what he says when the boy wakes him up.
Sure.
And it gives you so much background. I'm gonna try to get off this because I'm gonna take a sharp left turn for like another 45 minutes if we get into Troy. But you know how I feel. But like I said, whoever wrote that particular lines was just amazing, and then the performance was spectacular for it.
Yeah.
Because you not only do you believe it, but like you're hanging off the words, and you're like, I believe what he's saying.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm convinced.
Yeah.
And it's like, usually it's just like, oh, that was really cool. But you're like, no, I'm like, that's real.
That's more speaking on the topic of life and not taking moments for granted than it is like
true.
what happens with death, because then that part's interchangeable with whatever you believe.
Second.
Right.
So it all matters.
Yeah. And then the second thing that comes to mind is, we talked about this before actually, but Colbert interviewed Keanu Reeves, and he asked him, Keanu, what do you think happens when you die, right? Or when we die. And he says, he long pause, thinks about it, and says, I think the ones, what exactly does he say? I'm trying to remember it like verbatim, but I can't. Something along the lines of, the people who love us will remember us, or something like that. I'm butchering the heck
Here's
out
the
of it.
thing.
I'm trying to remember.
I remember it being like oh man, but I don't remember what he said.
Right.
So I'm no help to you. I'm so sorry.
Right. The ones who love us will remember us, or something along the lines of that. Like, and it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you die. Like, you'll die, but like, you'll be remembered by the people that love you, kind of thing. And it's almost the same thing as like your name, right? Like, last person who says your name.
Yeah.
And
it's just,
oh no, it was the ones who love us will miss us. That's what it is. Our loved ones will miss us, type thing. So I was like, yeah, that's exactly what happens. Matter of factly, and it's true. It's like, that's what happens. Me personally, I've gone back and forth. I've done the deep dive in a lot of different like belief systems and religions, and And there are things I want to believe, just like you said.
Right.
I want to believe in an afterlife. I want to believe in these things. I think, well, why are we even here? How are we able to intellectually talk about these things? And, and like, that's got to all come from something greater and awesome that maybe we get reunited with at some point in time. But then there's the human nature, and there's the other part of it for me that's almost like, it sounds like a fantastical story that is a coping mechanism, as we talked about coping mechanisms, a coping mechanism that you can say and tell people and, civilize people, because if you do these things, you get this reward. And it's tough because, I want to believe in this awesome afterlife,
Right.
as it's described in some religions and some Western religions and whatnot. And, you read about it, it feels good and it's this and that, but I don't, this gets down a different kind of rabbit hole, but if the carrot's being dangled and there's a shiny thing at the end and all you got to do is this, that, and the other, and to
No
fit these
trust.
terms and conditions, it's just how, like,
Yeah.
If
there wasn't a carrot, I'd
Right.
be more likely to believe it.
Right.
It's
Right.
because we are very, however you want to pronounce it, because there's different words that all means the same crap. Pessimistic, a
Sure.
realist, whatever the opposite or the middle ground of optimism is what we are.
Sure.
Logical thinking type things.
Yeah.
It's just like, that does not equal this. How? I don't trust it. No.
I've tried, and you know this, I've tried very hard. I've tried very hard to assimilate.
Yeah. I was surprised you went that hard.
Even when, and there are components of it where I'm like, I just can never fully get on board certain things. And there are components of it that I think there is so beneficial.
Oh, I agree with you on that.
You know?
You know that I'll just straight up say it, I hate organized religion.
Sure.
Absolutely. Because of the 30% that I disagree with.
Right.
The other 70% is so wonderful.
Sure.
And is so great of a positive experience for anybody of any age, gender, or anything to be a part of. But that 30% is non-negotiable.
Yeah, people seem to mess up a good thing.
Yeah.
And they've done it over and over and over again. But what I would like to happen, what I'd like for it to be is, what sounds really good is just the kind of recycling of energies, the whole maybe Eastern philosophy.
that would be nice.
Of that, where it's like, I love, what dreams may come, right? Or something like that, where we go into that idea of it, of like, maybe you get to, try it again as this or that or something else. So that's kind of a cool thought.
I will say one more thing, and then we'll end it, because we're getting into content that we need to save for when we do a different one. Hint. But I agree. I wish it was more like What Dreams May Come, but I truly believe it's much more like The Invention of Lying.
Yeah.
That's what I think it truly is.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
Where's my option for the blue or red pill, man? You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I don't think it's that bad. I think if that's it and it ends,
I don't think it's that bad, but I do think it's one of those things that it's either you have to be one or the other. I don't think there is any like wishy-washy. And I think that's the problem, is that I only deal in absolutes.
that's what I mean. The ones that love us will miss us, and the rest doesn't matter to us.
Yeah.
If that's the case, right?
Yeah.
And why is that a bad thing? So
No, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But we're all out of time for today.
today's episode of Death, our time is up.
But yeah, this was fun. As weird as that sounds,
As fun as it can be.
as fun as it can be, and also,
A little therapeutic.
but also it's one of those things where it's one of those taboo subjects that really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much about death because nobody wants to talk about it. If more
Sure.
people talked about it, it still sucks, but I think it would be a little bit easier of a pill to swallow, Badoom.
Yeah.
But anyway, did want to say thanks for listening to this episode of the Venti Questions podcast. We hope you enjoyed the deep dive that we're going into on death. And if you want to know how we feel about other topics, be sure to check us out next week, where we're doing a little bit different one, a little bit more higher spirits. We're going to be going over our pet peeves and OCDs of just daily situations. And if you want to help support the podcast, definitely please share it with others on social media. Make sure that you post about it. Let people know that it's fun. Also, you can leave a rating or a review. But to catch us all the latest about what we have going on, you can always follow us at Venti Questions on Instagram, or on our Twitter at Venti_questions. And then also don't forget to check us out on YouTube for some of the other content that we do have available there, which nowadays also has a little handle at Venti Questions. But yeah,
did it all. We're so fancy. All these lovely handles.
Look, man,
things.
Social media is starting to become a little bit more simplistic with certain aspects. We just have to get a little bit more involved because we're both lazy, and that doesn't help.
This is true.
But yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
And now, our time is
We're not singing. Bye.